has already joined in. Just to set the context, we would have about at least about 40 minutes of session, 40 minutes to 1 hour, depending on how long the Q&A goes. And during the session, if anyone has any query, one could actually, unmute and ask the query, and also feel free to post your queries on the chat window, so that we can take up those questions during the Q&A. So again, appreciate, you having joined in. We'll just wait for another 2 minutes, a minute or so at least, before we begin. Yeah, Nacho, Prut, you could let me know if I can start the session.
Sure, I think we can wait for a couple of minutes, 1 or 2 minutes more.
Yes. You may want to bring up the page, the use case page, if you want to, I don't know. Prut.
Shreya should have it.
Shall I share screen for that?
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, just give me a second.
Good afternoon yet again. I think we are just waiting for another minute or so before we begin on today's session. Again, welcome you all on behalf of DBS and Incubate Hub. This is Uday here, and you would have about 40 minutes of session, as I said, followed by a Q&A session. Yes, so Prut, Nacho, we are good to go. We could begin.
Yeah, sure, I think we can.
Okay, so without much ado now, didn't want you to make you wait any further. So good afternoon to you again. This is Uday here. Today we have an interesting session. This discussion is going to be on the problem statement, of alternate lending for SMEs. And again, welcome you all on behalf of DBS Bank. So today we have today's speaker, is Mr. Sandeep Varma. I would just give a brief introduction, Sandeep, before I bring you in. Sandeep is head of innovation at DBS India, and so that's what they call it, as a DIG group, DBS Innovation Group. And in his capacity, he works closely with a regional team to build a culture of innovation and experimentation within the teams at DBS India. The programs he manages look at building the capability for innovation within internal teams, as well as engage the ecosystem to derive and to drive outside in innovation. Sandeep brings over 22 years of experience in consulting operations, project management, business development, and venture capital. In the past, Sandeep has been an entrepreneur as well as has held leadership positions with companies both in India and abroad. So without much ado, Sandeep, the floor is yours. Request you to, give a peek into the problem statement and uh, everyone request you to be muted and only when you would like to speak, except for the speaker, obviously. Whenever you whenever you want to speak, you could unmute yourself. Also post your questions, if any, during the presentation. You could post your queries in the chat session, and myself or Nacho, we would be happy to take those questions and ask Sandeep. Sandeep, all yours.
Thank you, Uday. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you all for joining this session and your interest in listening to what we have to offer and this problem statement that we have put across. I just want to check. Can you all hear me clearly? Is my voice audible?
Yes.
I'm here.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's audible. It's audible.
Okay. Okay. So I just want to quickly talk about the problem statement, and just maybe before that, maybe I should just, I'm not sure if all of you are aware of DBS and the background. So just give you a couple of quick lines. So DBS is basically the Development Bank of Singapore, DBS. We are headquartered in Singapore, and we have a wholly owned subsidiary here in India, DBS India. If you may have been following the news, about a year ago, we have acquired an Indian bank as well. We've acquired Lakshmi Vilas Bank, which is now in the process of being integrated into our into the DBS brand. So we have a pretty large footprint now with the acquisition of the Indian operations of Lakshmi Vilas Bank, and we are looking at aggressively growing our small and medium-sized business book. So it is one of the focus areas for the bank going forward, and we see a lot of potential. And a little bit about the loan. We already have what's called an analytics-based lending solution, where we look at financial statements, we all look at bank statements, etc. We use that information to kind of understand the credit worthiness, and then we're able to give you a completely online lending proposition for the small and medium enterprises. Currently, we are doing mostly secured loans, but there is a appetite to do unsecured as well. So that is just a a brief about the lending business and what segment we're operating in. Apart from that, just to talk about this particular problem statement, what we're looking for is we're looking for a partner who can help us in enhancing our capabilities of using alternate data. So when I say alternate data, I mean this is like the non-financial data, traditional non-financial data like bank statements or income statement, etc., or the traditional financial documents. But if there is something or someone that some among you who have solutions which may look at other forms of data which can help in giving loans, especially when there are thin file clients or may not have the requisite amount of detail. Is there any way in which you can augment or kind of provide a let's say a very strong solution which can give us the ability to underwrite these loans? That's what we're interested in looking at. We're looking at somebody who has this credit scoring mechanism or the engine, a solution which is there with them. And we're also looking at possibly if there is a if they're already doing some lending, how we can also probably look at some co-lending partnerships, etc. That's broadly the statement. Just to give you an example of what we have seen otherwise in terms of alternate credit scoring, we've seen solutions where there are ratings given to people on, let's say, online platforms like Amazon, based on the ratings given by customers, etc. The only difference being that what I'm looking for here is only business to business, so which is for small and medium enterprise, only business loans. We are not considering consumer loans. We already have a track. We are doing some stuff on the consumer side, but this particular problem statement is focused on the small business lending, small and medium business lending. So that's, I'll just take a pause here. I'd like to keep it interactive. So if you can, to have any questions or clarifications, please feel free to ask them. And then I'll be happy to answer the best of my ability. So just pause here, wait for everyone to ask a question.
Yes, Sandeep, thanks. Anyone, one could please unmute and then ask a question.
Hi, Sandeep. How are you? This is Harish. So what methods are you using right now for your lead generation and evaluation parameters?
Hi, Harish. So basically, we have our own lead generation. We have, of course, various. There's both a bit of a push and a pull. So we have our marketing engines which reach out to our customers, and also we have a number of tie-ups with ecosystem partners who provide us with the right kind of let's say leads or qualified leads, if you will, from which we kind of filter and kind of. We also have a large database of our own. As I said, we've just bought over Lakshmi Bank, which has a large reach amongst themselves, especially in the small and medium enterprise segment. So we want to be able to offer loans to some of existing customers who may or may not have been approached for this particular kind of lending activity, or as I said, through our partners, through our networks, and through our marketing activities, the leads that we generate. I think you're on mute, Harish. I can't hear you.
Sorry. In terms of your underwriting criteria, what are you typically using?
So as of now, as I said, we don't have an alternative scoring mechanism. We are using traditional data, so we look at the financial statements of the customer, so their income statement, balance sheet, etc., which they upload, and we also use their bank statements which they're uploading. Then we have a analytics-based solution. We have partnerships with companies like Credit Vidya and Perfios to be able to extract this information and be able to read it and provide some amount of analytics to that.
Great, thank you.
Hi, Sandeep. Vamsi here from Karpine.
Hi, Vamsi.
Yeah. What is the ticket size you are looking to offer the loans with alternative data?
So we are looking at, there's no, I mean, we've not firmed up, but 5 lakhs onwards plus is typically what we look at for unsecured. We go up to 5 crores for secured, typically.
Any other means of alternative data you are looking right now?
So as I said, we are not using alternate data. The only thing which we are kind of exploring with other customers, other partners, is some GST data, but it's again a proxy for the financial transaction data which they provide otherwise through bank statements, etc. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I got it.
Hey, Sandeep, this is Joydip. What demographics do your borrowers have? So, in other words, are they tier 1, 2? And I'm sorry, missed the first 5 minutes of this session, so I don't know if we covered that. But is it rural, urban? Is it very small, like kirana shops, or is it slightly larger, more structured SMEs? Can you throw a little bit of light on those parameters?
So as I said, as of now, we are looking at SMEs, from whether it's trading, could be kirana shops, but we usually look at loans for 5 lakhs plus. So they should be able to meet that criteria in terms of turnover, etc., where we are comfortable making those kind of loans. The idea is to go further down. So maybe right now, since we are going with traditional financial and statements and things like that, we haven't gone down as yet to the Kirana level. So we look at slightly more established, or let's say larger SMEs. But that doesn't mean that we want to stop there. We also, I think your question was also about whether it's urban or rural, etc. We don't have a kind of a restriction over there saying that we will do only urban or we will do only semi-urban. As I said in the beginning, we have acquired Lakshmi Vilas Bank. So Lakshmi Vilas Bank has a lot of their customer segment in the rural areas. So we have a very strong presence in this, especially down south. So we are definitely looking at tapping that segment as well.
So before someone comes with a question, I mean, I just wanted to reiterate here, right? Sandeep, I mean, the problem statement for people who may not have gone through on the portal, I think we are looking at solution partners in this space, right? Which focus on minimal documentation and rapid credit decisions, right? These are the two key areas.
Yeah, I mean the main thing, as I said, is being able to use alternate data effectively. So,
Right.
however they get the information, it is really important that there is a seamless customer journey. So we don't want it to be a very cumbersome journey for the customer. So as seamless as possible is what we desire. We are looking for someone who has some level of track record, so they can prove that this kind of solutions, because alternate data a lot of people claim. We want to be able to show them have some track record to prove that their model actually works. So that's one of the things we're looking at.
Thanks.
Sandeep, so I kind of have like a couple of insights here. Like for alternate data, we have been using alternate data for kind of SME lending, where we are doing co-brand cards with a partner, and they are basically a credit book, khata book company, kind of a company. And we are giving out credit on PPI instrument up to 5 lakhs, not beyond 5 lakhs. Out there, like alternate data has been very advantageous for us for mitigating fraud, whereas something like the browser data, and these are all implicit data, so we're not explicitly taking it from the user, and it has helped us try to reduce the fraud. So we kind of was able to find some organized behavior where multiple applications were coming from similar computers and similar geolocations. So that is where the one of the advantages was. But as of now, like other than that, earlier before this, we were doing personal lending through alternate data we were trying, and we faced a lot of difficulty to get a spread on the risk. Like reliability was a problem. Even if we got a spread while finding a policy, while building a policy, it is when we actually went and tried to execute the policy in real life, it did not match. So that is one challenge we faced in our in the journey at Red Carpet. And like maybe if there is someone who has worked on this before, or maybe there's some questions that we can.
Yeah, what you're saying is right. I mean, I think that is of interest also, being able to prevent or kind of qualify a customer whether it's genuine, whether it's there's something fraudulent is also important. We have seen some solutions abroad where, for example, they're looking at for factories electricity data to understand what is the production levels, etc. So things like that, electricity bills, so things like that are of interest. Of course, this is it's not a standalone measure that they use only alternate data. I'm sure they marry it with financial data. As I said, the idea is when the financial data is not that let's say well structured or organized in the form which a bank wants. Is there
Right.
any solution which can leverage alternate data to fill in the gaps?
So something that we were recently investigating to get like as an early signal was the difference between the filing date and the month for which they are filing the GST. So without users' explicit consent, this is the maximum data, not the GST amount that they file. Is for that we need user consent, like an OTP. Other than that, we are just checking the GST of the user and the month of filing and the date of filing and the month for which they file. So users who have like a pattern of delay, they have shown higher risk. So that is something that we've been able to mitigate using
Exactly.
GST.
So those kind of things are definitely interesting to us. We would definitely be interested in understanding how that can be, used as part of our thing. So as I said, we also have a tech team which works on analytics-based lending, as I said earlier in the call. So it is, but it takes traditional financial data to make those calls. So we're happy to see if there is some way in which even you can work with our tech team, etc., kind of thing. So that would be probably a stage 2 of this exercise. So right now, what we're looking at is if you have something where you're using alternate data and how it's being able to help influence the lending solution, you want to understand that first. And the ones which we find interesting, you would like to have a more detailed presentation or a more detailed discussion uh, uh, with both our India business team and our Singapore business team. So both of them are going to come together to be able to evaluate, and then we would like to see some sort of maybe a POC or something of that sort to be able to see how this actually works in practice. So that's the, let's say, the rough roadmap we have planned.
Okay, so it's primarily looking for an approval. Is approval and rejection just based on alternate data is what we are kind of
It
looking for?
need not be just alternate data, but of course, if you have a solution that is really reliable and can make those decisions just on alternate data, that is fantastic. I mean, I've not heard of any solutions that are just using alternate data, but if that is possible and you have the proof to say that yes, my engine is that good that I'm able to use only alternate data and I'm able to give you a decision,
Right.
I'm really interested to hear about it.
Yeah, that is something that has been a challenge. Like we did burn our hands there. Like for 1 year, we were lending using alternate plus bureau. Like they were independent modelings that we did. But yeah, we did burn our hand there for 1 year. It was difficult to figure out, and then now we have shifted our strategy to purely bureau-based tactical models.
Yeah,
Thanks, really
I see there
appreciate.
are a few questions
Yeah,
on the.
yeah, correct. I was about to say that, Sandeep. I think Vishwas, kindly hold on. I know you have raised the hands, but there have been a few more questions. Sandeep, there's one question which says from Manish Thakwani. He says, "Are you considering only digital or a mix of physical and digital lending in this particular scenario?"
So we are trying to be as digital as possible. We're trying to move as much online. If but the I don't know if the question is basically looking at how you're doing the credit alternate credit scoring. Is you're saying that it's being done through some physical document collection, etc. Is that okay? Is that if that's what you're asking? I think we are open to looking at that also. We would prefer something which is completely digital, completely online. But if you're able to give us something which which where you say feel that there is a strong need for the physical component and you need to collect something physically, we're open to listen to it. But as I said, the really important thing for us to have is have a smooth customer journey. So we would like the customer to be able to really feel that this is very seamless and very easy to do, rather than having them to do multiple things. That's one thing. So one of the reasons why we launched our fully online analytics based lending was to get rid of all these let's say typical back and forth that they have with getting documents, sending it somewhere, someone looking at it and then telling you that it's not the right one, etc. So we want to be able to be looking at eliminating a lot of the pain points in that journey for the customer. Hope that
Yeah,
answers your question, Manish.
I guess so.
Thanks,
In case,
Sandeep. Yeah.
yeah, another
Um,
one from Akshay. Akshay wrote is, how does the bank decide on the definition that a particular data is primary or alternative data?
so what we mean by let's say traditional and alternative. Traditional is what you see banks generally collecting, right? So this could include the income statement, balance sheet, cash flow statements, uh, bank statements. So those are the things that you consider as, let's say, uh, you know, the traditional data. And then you have things like which are proxies for the traditional data, like GST data, which is I won't say alternate as such, but it is somewhere in between, where it's not you're getting the same using another financial, let's say, a string of transactions, etc., which might have been which you might have gotten from your other statements. You're using that to kind of do it. So that's something which is, let's say, somewhere in between. But when I say alternate data, there are a lot of companies using data, like I was telling you earlier, giving you examples of electricity bills, frequency of payment of other bills, the supplier ratings that is being given by on various e-commerce platforms. So all those things are people are using to be able to come to some understanding. As I said, it may not be that they are using only this data; they may be using this with traditional data, but it makes the, let's say, the lending decision stronger or faster or easier to do, especially when there isn't that much, let's say, enough track record of financial data, let's say. So typically, as you know, people ask for 3 years statements, things like that. So, where, let's say, 1 year is only available. Is there some way in which we can, kind of, augment this, etc.?
Thanks,
And I
Sandeep.
think the last question was,
Yeah.
this is only for India. So we want to start this for India because we understand that India has a very unique architecture, but this is not something which we will, if the solution is easily transplantable. As I said, the regional team is also looking at this. So it could be something that we would like to take to other markets as well. Maybe at the first instance, maybe Indonesia or China. But as I said, it has to be something which, if the solution or if the engine would work in those kind of markets as well. But primary focus is definitely India as of now.
Thanks, Sandeep. I think we have Vishwas and Karpine again. Vishwas, if you could unmute yourself and ask the question, please.
Yes, thanks, Uday and Harish. Sorry, Sandeep. Quick question. I'm from Credo Lab. We're a alternative credit scoring fintech headquartered in Singapore. The questions I have essentially are two. One is, what are the timeframes you're looking at? Is this a new product, essentially, the lending product that you're talking about? And the second one is, what is going to be the channel of sourcing? Is it going to be also branch and agent driven, or is it going to be mobile first or web, or what is it like?
Yeah, so let me just, there are two parts to your question. You said that the first one was you were asking whether this is a new product, right? So this, as I said, we have a product which is similar, which is what we call analytics-based lending, ABL, where we are offering these kind of loans using financial data that will be uploaded, financial bank statements, etc., which we have partnerships with Perfios, Credit Vidya, etc., to be able to read and make sense of those data. So we have solutions already there in that space, which is online loans, both secured and a little bit of unsecured as well. So the what we are trying to do is, again, primarily online, but there may be, as I said, since we have acquired Lakshmi Vilas Bank, a lot of their customers are rural. They may not be as digital, so there may be a kind of a branch-facing thing as well. The other way in which we acquire customers, as I was mentioning earlier when Harish had asked the question, is through ecosystem partners who provide us with qualified leads. We also partner with some aggregators who are able to provide us the leads that we're looking for. Is there anything else I missed out?
The time frame broadly yes, yeah.
So as I said, this is this is not a new product, but it will require some changes to our credit scoring algorithm, etc. So, but we are looking to roll this out as soon as possible. So it's something which we have let's say, a very high appetite to launch at the earliest. As I said, we have already analytics mixed engine. So it will be something which will be quickly tagged on and kind of rolled out as fast as possible, which is feasible from both sides of the partnership.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'll slip in one last question. What is going to be the bureau profile and the bank profile is, new to credit, new to bank, or existing to bank is, could you tell us more about that as well?
So we're definitely looking at both existing and new to bank. New to credit, as I said, maybe the third step. If I say these are the first two, would be this thing. So if let's say that's what I'm saying, where if the track record or the solution can give us that kind of confidence, we would like to do a pilot there. We'd like to see how that would work, and then possibly scale up.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Krishna, you could go ahead again.
Yeah, hi Sandeep. I'm Krishna from Karpine Technologies. We are a blockchain startup and building Web3 supply chain solutions. I got two questions for you. The first one is, since up to 40 lakhs, there is no mandatory requirement to go for GST in India. We have 2.3 crore businesses which are out of this actual play. So if we can give you inventory cycles of these businesses, predominantly organized in some kind of chain, something like if it is KMF, all the farmers who are supplying to KMF, kind of. I mean, there is somebody on top. They are not individual kiranas or unorganized, totally unorganized sector, but some way there is a body which can give us the centralized data. Would you be interested in a thing like this? And second one is it term lending or is it invoice discounting? I mean, would you be doing invoice discounting as well?
Yeah, so we will do we will do working capital loans also. Apart from term lending, we are interested in looking at some alternate kind of structures, which, as you spoke of, which we can look at. So that's also possible. We are, yes. If you are asking me if that you're looking at customers who may not be filing GST, but you already have some established method of being able to let's say smartly understand their credit potential, etc. And you're saying that this inventory-based solution, that's something we're definitely interested in looking at.
Little more to add. I mean, there is a pilot which has been completed by a UK-based blockchain company, Origin Trail. They have done it in Hungary, wherein all the data of the farmers who are selling milk, cooperative societies, it is put on blockchain, and then the data is transparent. I mean, basically bringing the unorganized sector onto some kind of digital form. So something similar, we are using IoT as well as blockchain, so that whatever inventory is coming in, going out, manufactured, okay, so everything becomes digital. So that's where we are coming from.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely sounds interesting. Of course, I need a little more detail to be able to comment. And but it does sound like you have something which might be of interest to us.
Thanks, Krishna.
Sure,
I appreciate. I think we can obviously interact offline as well if you have any further queries. And I'm sure, I mean, you would be giving further details, right, to us, so we will take it further.
Yeah.
Anyone else? If anyone has any question, kindly please unmute and ask, or post it on the chat.
I kind of wanted to ask, like, we could consider like the models that we've run earlier was basically performing based on the segment we were targeting, and we could consider trying to build a model and see how it works for the SME lending in partnership with DBS, and do a pilot project there if that is something you are interested in looking forward for, and we can do a POC.
Sure, we can talk about that.
Hey, Sandeep, this is Joydip again. I have a question. Are you guys already partnering or thinking of partnering with like anchor partners to fund their supply chain partners, or maybe partnering with a POS machine provider, or if you guys have your own POS terminals, then basically where I'm trying to get to is there are some sources to get transaction information about these merchants, right? Like POS transactions or wallet transactions or e-commerce transactions. But that data has to be either you have, that, or you would have to partner with somebody who owns that data. We at Synaptic, we've done a lot of work building models and trying and retrying and testing with different kinds of cash flow or ledger data or e-commerce data or cab, taxi driver data, etc. So I don't know, but we don't source that. We don't have that data. We provide the models as well as the IT plumbing work to pull those through APIs and provide a score in a very completely non-frictionless way. But my question really is, do you have any of those partners, or will you be willing to or planning to partner with some of those partners to get the data?
So, I'm sorry, you had asked about POS loans, and the other one, what was the other one which you had asked about?
POS loans or anchor partners. So, like if you partner with an
Yeah,
FMCG or somebody, yeah.
So, anchor partners we definitely have. Anchor partners is something which we quite, let's say, aggressively do. I mean, it's something which we do as a matter of course. I mean, something which is an established line of business, let me say. POS, we have done some bits, but not really too much. So this transaction data also is quite interesting for us to hear. But I am also interested in seeing whether it's non-financial data. How can you marry that with this kind of data to be able to give a much more, let's say, comprehensive or holistic solution?
Yeah, so I'll give you one example, and I don't want to bog everybody else's time here. We can probably, Sandeep, have a offline discussion. But typically, the data that we have been working with are, let's say you tie up with Procter & Gamble, right? And you're thinking about financing their, on the sell side, their distributors, or the next level down Kirana stores, in your next phase when you go down to MSMEs. So the kind of information is for the last 12 to 18 months, what are the revenues or transactional revenues, right, month over month. And if it is, let's say, a distributor, if you can get from P&G the data that says they paid on time, what were their payment patterns to the FMCG, right? So last 12 to 18 months, month over month, how much revenues have they transacted of this FMCG's products, and how have their payments been? And a little bit of demographic information saying how long have they been with P&G, and that some of these anchors will also have, right? If you've been here with them for 10 years versus just a newbie, there are some of those variables that we've used that can add to risk. So that's the set of data I'm talking about.
Okay, so you're basically looking at some kind of channel finance solution.
Yes.
Yeah, we already have, as I said, solutions for channel finance for the large corporates where we work with them. But as I said, the focus for this particular one is looking at data which is probably not available with not the typically available data with the anchors, etc. But other alternate data. If there's something else, for example, a supplier rating which the anchors are giving, etc. That is of interest to us. If you understand the difference.
Yes, I do. Right. Thank you. Yeah.
Sandeep, again, like coming back to the question. So the mode of this call is to discuss those data points, or are we, like, there are a lot of data points that we consider of alternate data that we have and that we build models on, but
yeah. So this is just to clarify some questions that you may have. As I said, the ones which are non-financial, so transaction data is still considered as financial data.
Right.
But an electricity bill or a supplier rating, I don't consider as financial data. So
Right.
so that's what I was trying to clarify, saying that if you have solutions leveraging that type of data is of really good and great interest for us. But if you obviously are augmenting it with some transaction data, financial data, that's also okay.
Okay, understood. So again, like obviously we've used SMS data, so we have customer SMS data through which we understand whether the person is defaulted on other loans or whether he has insurance or not. So that is also something that we've been doing.
Yeah.
But like, do I bring up everything that we've done, or how do we what? So this call is for the purpose of us discussing those data points or discussing alternate lending opportunities?
Yeah, this is just a clarification call. So just clarify if you have any doubts, if something is not clear from the problem statement. Then what we want you to do is to provide us your, I think Incubate Hub is already gathering the information that what is your solution. So an explanation of how your solution works, what is the kind of data that you're using to arrive at this thing, etc. What is the track record, etc. If you submit that to us, then we will, meaning the broader business team, credit team, everybody will have a look at it, and the ones that we find really interesting are the ones we want to have a more, let's say, deeper discussion. We'll set up those calls. We have that discussion where the right
Understood.
people from the other teams will also ask you more pertinent questions and more pointed questions about how you are doing, what your track record, etc., is. And then based on if it still looks very interesting to us, then we will, as I said, move into the next phase of doing a POC, etc.
Understood. Understood. Fair enough. Thank you for clarifying the doubt.
Thanks. Vishwas, I see your hand is still raised. In case you have a question, you can ask. Or no, Sandeep, I just have a quick clarification, or maybe you may want to elaborate. Rather, I mean, the criteria for co-lending, as you have seen, co-lending partnership is having good track record and adequate size of operation.
Yes.
Would you like to further elaborate in terms of are you going to look at also the co-lending partners? Credit scoring and other mechanisms, or what? How are you going to look at those kind of possible?
Yeah, when I said co-lending, as I said, we also have co-lending partners outside of alternate data who are using traditional methods, etc., and we do co-lending. In with this case, we are saying that if somebody has the ability to co-lend or has a platform of their own, and they are able to, and they already have, let's say, a large number of customers on this platform, we are happy to do some co-lending with them. But obviously, it has to have the adequate size for us to be interested. That's what we meant.
Okay.
But we want that alternate data element even in that co-lending partnership.
Got it. That was my thanks for that. Yeah.
Was there a hand raised? Has it been asked?
Asked already. I think that is done. I guess we don't seem to be having any further questions, Sandeep. To a large extent, I think. Really appreciate a lot of you who have come in. Really appreciate your time here. And Sandeep, is there anything else you may want to further elaborate based on whatever this?
Yeah. So as I said, we are quite keen on rolling this out. So we would like to find some partners with a little bit of a track record. Then it makes us easier and makes it faster for us to be able to launch the solution. So that's just one additional thing which I wanted to say. So some things which are too experimental or we've not got much of a track record, I might not move as quickly or as smoothly as we would like. So so please, when you're submitting your solutions, I think please tell us what kind of track record you have, how this has been successful, etc. Tell us a little bit about what kind of alternate data you're using, etc. What is the profile of your customers? If you're doing co-lending, or if you have let's say already a loan book, what is the size of that? What is the size of your operations? If you can, the more information you can provide us, you can the faster it will be for us to be able to access.
Thanks. Nacho, would you like to just share as to what is the timeline we are looking at for submissions? Or
there is no fixed deadline as such, but we are looking at this immediately, and as we speak, we are evaluating. So in case you have any further questions, you can reach out to the Incubate Hub team, and we can guide you further.
Yeah, I would also say that the sooner you submit, I would say ideally by the end of this month, because you want to get into the evaluation phase and start doing more deep dives. So if we can submit that information as soon as possible, that would be great.
I appreciate Sandeep for that clarification. I think that makes sense. I think quite a few people have shown interest, and I'm sure I think people would want to submit with their collaterals as early as possible. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
And
Thank you everybody for taking the time to be here on this call and to ask your questions and show interest in this challenge that we have. I look forward to hearing from you and getting more details about your solutions soon.
Thanks. Thanks everyone. Thanks Sandeep yet again for your time.
Thanks, Sandeep.
Thank you.
Everyone, look forward to you submitting before the month end as Sandeep has asked for. Really, that would be really nice. Thank you. Have a good day and a good weekend too.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you.